Hello and welcome back. It's episode 10 of the Water Trio. I'm here with Cassandra Tyndall and Kelly Surtees. My name's Alicia Sheikh-Youssef, and we're here to do the week starting January the 7th, Monday. So all the silly season shenanigans are over. Everyone's getting back into reality this week. For those in the Southern Hemisphere, or here in Australia, many of us are going back to work this week. I know, though, you North Americans are probably already back. But yeah, we've got quite a bit of astrology happening this week. What's your pick of the week there, Kel?
Well, I think I have one high and one low of the week, where I'm really excited about Venus moving into Sagittarius, which happens on Monday, the 7th of January. I just like the lighter, more optimistic outlook that Venus in Sag is going to bring. I don't have anything against Venus in Scorpio. I just know it's a much more introspective type energy. And so Venus coming into Sag brings a little bit more confidence, a little bit more movement, a little bit more activity around relationships, but also around friendships and around enjoying the little luxuries in life. And then the thing that I'm kind of like, got to be a little bit careful of this week is Mercury square Mars, which is coming up also early in the week, Tuesday, the 8th of January. Mercury square Mars is sort of like foot in mouth disease, speaking before thinking or doing before thinking. So there's a little bit of an urgency or an impatience quality where you might act or say something a little prematurely. The flip side of that, if I put the Kelly spin on it, is sometimes a Mercury square Mars aspect brings us to a place of just being really honest. So even if it is premature, it's often coming from a place of truth. So they're the two things that I'm really watching for this week, but I know it's a busy week. What are you guys looking at? Cass, have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited about Venus in Sag too. It's just nice to see planetary movement after this long period of Scorpio. So it will be nice just to kind of get out of the navel gazing, out of maybe the probing and the overanalyzing things, and just get out and enjoy. Venus in Sag is a great time just to have those beautiful experiences together for experience's sake, not really questioning things or overthinking things. It's just getting out there and being in the moment. And and of course, not that the conjunction occurs this week there. So it's really putting the whole Venus in Sag on steroids. And I just think that just brings a real lovely, joyous atmosphere post-eclipse that we've just come out of and still in the feeling of. And, with all the Capricorn energy this week, I think it's really lovely to have this buoyant, optimistic, and looking towards what's possible. And that's the nice part with the Sag, what is possible, rather than, and maybe not overthinking the logistics of it all.
I like that.
Yeah, totally. And having those two benefics in that one sign for that, the 4-5 week period is just wherever Sagittarius is in your chart. For our listeners that know their chart, just know that you're going to get some real boons in that area. I'm super glad it's getting out of my 8th house and it's actually moving into somewhere else. And, she's been hanging around in Scorpio since, late October?
September, because we had the retro. We had that Venus retro. I'd forgotten that, Alicia, until you said that. I was like, oh, that's right.
Been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, she did have that dip back into Libra. But
yep, in November we got a bit of a break.
This is the last hangover of those retrogrades finally shifting away, I feel like. I don't know, we've been saying this for weeks on end, but it's done, and just her shifting into that Sag energy kind of brings us all out of that final bit of navel gazing that Scorpio sometimes can do and get pulled into. So it's like that whole energy of lifting your eyes to the sky and going, okay, that really is that drive forward, and really bringing the benefits of Sagittarius and what that offers to us all.
And what's also good about this co-presence of the two benefics, it will equally benefit, when we're taking the concept of sect, whether you're born by day or born by night. So if you're a night baby, Venus is your go-to planet. And if you're born by day, it's Jupiter. So bringing them both together in the one sign, it is equally benefic or equally favorable. And there's not that perhaps a little bit of a gear shift down if you are a night baby and Jupiter's not as good, or if you're a day baby and then Venus is not as good. So it's got kind of like, joy for everybody. I think of the Seinfeld episode where Jerry's in a hotel, and then the employee of the hotel goes, can we get you more of anything? And he's like, more of everything. And that's just kind of what this conjunction really feels. And again, as you said, Lishi, check out the house placement. Which chart is, which part of your chart is bringing in this goodness, and saying yes.
Yeah, Jupiter and Sag, so much about saying yes to things. And I love, the co-presence. There's a lot of stressful stuff about 2019, which we'll be covering in the weeks where some of those things get a little bit more difficult.
Let's not talk about that now.
We won't. We're going to focus on the good stuff right now, because there are some really good moments in 2019 and the good moments come from Venus and Jupiter this year, where Venus and Jupiter are in signs that they can help each other. And we do have 3 or 4 periods of that in 2019. This next few weeks with Venus in Sagittarius is the first period. And even though it won't make everything better, it will put this kind of bright light or this warmth or this spirit of generosity and support into at least one area of life. So, if you're aware, this part of my life just seems to be flowing. Like work might be crap, but things with friends are going well, or money might be crap, but I've got this really good, strong sense of self-belief. So I know I'm going to get through it. Don't let whatever is frustrating you get you down, because there is still this, there is a golden light basically, and it's just going to get stronger. We've got a few weeks of Venus in Sag. So navel gazing done basically.
And I feel like as well, Venus there, it's like if you've been stretching towards opportunities and trying to consciously use this energy of Jupiter and Sag, Venus is going to add the charm, the diplomacy, the tact to be able to, maybe even make them happen even more. This is a time where if you've got a project you're thinking about and you want to put it out there, this is the time to go and present it, to get the best possible feedback on what you want to do for the rest of the year. So, yeah.
Totally.
And I think it's a really great energy to kind of, when they say that good luck is when hard work meets opportunity. So we've got that kind of vibe there, where there's the opportunity here with Jupiter and Venus in Sagittarius, but it's taking this, saying yes so you can manifest that Capricorn opportunities for the long term. So there is that something that can happen now that has an enduring quality to it as well. I suppose that's kind of covers that. We've talked about Mars and Mercury. So I think this is a really nice, in cardinal signs, it can also help push us to say things that maybe we've been holding back on or not being totally honest about. And, that inspired confidence with Mars and Aries too. It's like going for the jugular.
Speaking of Mars in Aries, I did want to give a shout out to the Moon conjunct Mars this weekend, January 12th and 13th. The Moon this week is waxing, so she's generally got this kind of growth energy coming out of the eclipse. She's recovering from that eclipse experience. And then I thought the Moon waxing this week kind of fed into the Venus in Sag energy of it is about growth. It's about looking to the future. It's about thinking about what's next. And then the Moon on Mars, I was like, okay, this is sharp potentially, like cutting things or, people being maybe quite direct or assertive, but it's also quite confident inducing. That Moon and Mars in Aries, there's a lot of courage here. There's a lot of willingness to take a risk. And so it's not maybe about a cuddle, but it is about getting things done. And that's the weekend, January 12th and 13th. Were you saying
it feels
something?
like,
I didn't know if you were like waving, you have thoughts, Leash, or if there was something different there.
no, actually, my children walked past the window, so I was just waving to try to keep them quiet.
I love it. Multitasking.
Yeah. But I feel like this energy for me is about having brave conversations, being willing to, you know, just take that Aries energy to go forth and talk about things, you know, because Mercury in Capricorn is quite a steady energy, and it's, you know, he's gone from Sag, where he's not that kind of happy, into a slower, calmer energy.
You said that so diplomatically.
Yes.
Where we've had like cross communications and misfires and technical snafus.
It's almost Mercury retrograde, really.
Yeah.
So yes, so it's moved out of that and moving into that Capricorn energy. It's a bit more grounded and logical. This is almost that Virgoan mind, you know, it's analytical, it's thoughtful, it's rational, and it's reasoned. So it's almost like there's actually, yes, it's tense, but it's like one will balance the other. That grounded Mercury will hold back and ask the Mars in Aries to take a pause before speaking, as compared to, you know, if Mars and Mercury had met, and they didn't, thank God, when Mercury was in still in Sag, you know, it would have been fireworks. So yeah, it's good that it's kind of, there is that earth and fire balance there. So I do feel like you will have the forbearance in those conversations to not react too much, if you need to have them. So yeah, you know, if you've got something that you want to say to someone, but you're feeling a bit scared, you know, that energy, that Mars Mercury square would be a great time to actually just put on your big cold panties and go out and do it.
Fantastic.
So yeah, on the back of that, then we have the Sun-Pluto conjunction.
Yeah, that was the one I was going to bring up.
Yeah, the annual meeting of the bright light and the dark lord. So not that any of us really consider Pluto being the ruler of Scorpio, but how about we hand this one over to you, Alicia?
As our resident Scorpio.
Yes. Look, I always hate the word transformation. Everybody uses it so much, and yet there's Pluto. And I feel like there's so much happening in Capricorn this year and into next as well. And there's a really strong energy around that. And this is going to give us more of a chance to change ourselves for the better, but with quite a bit of hard work and maybe some blood, sweat and tears on the side as well. I just, you know, I'm not going to paint it light. It's not going to be the easiest of days. It could be a day when self-confidence is undermined. It could be a day where we're feeling like we're not at our best and we can't do what we want to do. And it's a chance to look at those limitations and really understand, well, what's holding us back in these. So this is on the 11th of January, late in the night for us, I think, here in Australia. So
it's early morning on the 11th for Canada and the States.
Yeah. So, but we'll be feeling it the 11th and the 12th. And I just feel like if we can take a chance to really, you know, talking about navel gazing, going back in a bit on those couple of days, we'll get a chance to use it to make some changes so that when all this Capricorn energy is coming up, and depending on what area of your chart this is happening in, you can be ready for what's coming. And yeah, I'm going to stop burbling.
I like it. Cass?
Well, I guess if the eclipse comes and goes and you're like, oh, nothing happened, then bring on the Sun-Pluto conjunction. And I always find that it can really bring these, as you mentioned, Lishi, the issues of confidence whenever the Sun is kind of, involved there with Pluto. But when we talk about transformation, empowerment and everything, sometimes there's a confronting process that happens first, and that's the realization that you gave your power away, or you gave your light away, or you gave your energy or vitality at some level. So sometimes it's about standing back and initiating yourself into this process of realizing, okay, so what choices have I made up to this point that has led me to this place? And then maybe sitting with that or churning with that, having that, going to that place of darkness, so then you can reemerge with light, the sun's light, and that sense of empowerment. And when you can go through that, that process of, light, then in the dark, and then the light again, that's where that transformation that is overused happens. But it's not until you willingly step in first and allow yourself to be kind of pulled down and drawn down and sit with maybe some of those Capricorn chart placement choices that you've, especially too, it's so highly activated, this house right now. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. How about you, Kel?
I like it. Yeah, I think the only other word that I might throw in is the power control piece with the Sun and Pluto, around how, when the Sun meets Pluto, it's almost like shining a light, the Sun, on control dynamics or power dynamics, which are very Pluto. Almost like making clear where there is a power dynamic going on that maybe you hadn't been aware of, or helping you realize where you might have given your control, like someone else might be controlling a situation that you didn't think was the case. So there can often be a revelation or an insight that's really crystallized with the Sun-Pluto energy. And we do get a Sun-Pluto conjunction every year. And, for about 15 years, this is happening in Capricorn since 2008 when Pluto moved into Capricorn. So it's not new to have a Sun-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, but it does highlight this very kind of thought-provoking 24-hour period where we're often more open to questioning things. We want to investigate. We get a bit like a dog with a bone, where something grabs our attention, or we get a little bit obsessively curious about something, and we don't want to let go until we've got some answers or some info that really explains what we feel is going on. So it's, don't let things pass you by. If you get your spidey senses are up and you're like, something's off here, or there's more going on Friday the 11th when the Sun and Pluto meet, dig deeper, ask questions, do your research type of thing.
Yeah. And that will put you in a really good stead to deal with the next major aspect, Jupiter, Neptune.
I mean, I feel like, every week in January is this weird mashup between this super hopeful something to do with Jupiter and Sag versus this kind of depressing, really sobering something to do with Saturn or Capricorn.
I know. This bipolar energy.
It's totally bipolar. And in fact, I think the entire year of 2019 is like this. But, this week we have that kind of writ large, Sun, Pluto, and then 2 days later, Jupiter square Neptune. Hope, generosity, potential, forget reality. Let's go to daydream land kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like the universe is offering us a buffer zone. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm going to be teaching you some lessons, but I'll give you a little guardian angel to sit on your shoulder to be able to help you through those times.
Totally.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think 2019 might be a bit of a shit show.
What are your thoughts on Jupiter, Neptune, Cass?
Oh, how long is this podcast?
Okay, we need the Reader's Digest version, Miss Gemini Rising.
Okay. I feel that there is such an opening here for amazing things. Depends on how it's working in your chart, of course. There's such an opening there. But I guess there's always that potential rose-colored glasses when we're talking about Neptune. And it might also be a little bit about, I'm not saying me as in I, although maybe some people would say, but anywho, just talking generally here, there is so much, there's like this heart pouring of energy here. There may need to be a little bit of discernment, caution, or care about where you're channeling that. There might be some friction or tension about maybe what your beliefs are, or where you're shooting your arrows. Are they in the same direction as somebody else's fantasy? You know, the Neptune piece. And so what the direction you think you're going in may not be the direction that other part of your life is going in. So there is, but you know, I think that Jupiter is really the head honcho here. I think he's making the overcoming square to Neptune, and Neptune is in Jupiter's sign. So I don't feel that it is as perhaps catastrophic or hard. I remember when I was hit, you know, being the mutable cross here, when I was hit with the Jupiter in Gemini and the Neptune in Pisces, that was really difficult. But I don't think that this is going to be quite as bad because of Jupiter's innate strength. But I feel that there's definitely kind of dreaming the dream, and it's about possibility. Like, and even if that doesn't make all sense, you know, and you know, maybe it's a little bit about putting your logical brain to one side for a little bit and just going where that wave takes you. You might get caught in a rip for a little bit, but, you know, something, you know, don't allow that to kind of deflate you. There is this sense of optimism and hope, but it's almost allowing the blind faith to stay lit, I suppose. I don't think that was very Reader's Digest, but there is a bit of a blind faith component to this. And for some of us, that might be a little bit hard to let go of maybe some of that side of things, and trusting that you don't know where that arrow is going, but it's going to go somewhere good. Yeah, I keep coming back to the blind faith part of this.
I like it. Yeah, look, Neptune's involved. So there's always a caution, isn't there, around what are you missing? What are you seeing in an overly positive kind of light? You know, where are you getting caught between facts versus fantasy? And that's definitely part of it. But I do think because Jupiter is having such a dominant influence, it is the overcoming aspect. But Neptune's also in Jupiter's sign. So it feels like there is a generosity, there's a kindness, there's even a gentleness, we might say, between this aspect. And you might be quite giving, and you might just be giving to someone who is not accepting of that. You know, you might give to 4 people and 3 love it and 1 kind of dismisses it, and it's still kind of good to have done. Or you might have 4 dreams and, you know, a couple of them really come true and a couple of them don't, but it was good to dabble with them anyway because you learned something or you got a fresh perspective. Not that I want to say it's all perfect, but it does have this kind of tender, sweet quality to it.
It sort of reminds me of what you're saying there, Kel, something that I heard in a marketing thing, that you can try 10 different things in your marketing your business. Only one has to work, and it still works. And so there might be some wastage or leakage in the generosity or support or the kindness that you're offering, but there'll be somebody or something that really appreciates it, or it takes a hold in some way, or opens up that avenue of that Jupiterian opportunity. But you might have to, it's like spend money to make money.
And only one thing has to work. Sorry, Alicia, what are you going to throw in here?
Us mutables are going to town on the
nuts on this.
And for those of us that don't have that much mutable, for me, I'm kind of feeling a little bit nervous about it all, to be honest.
Go with the flow.
Yep. It isn't my bag, and yet it is. And I feel like, I don't know, like if we can take the opportunity to break through some of the boundaries that are holding us, those that are more cardinal and fixed, and really try to just leap on this, because for me, it feels like not so much a rocket ship, but like a passageway into outer space. out into the universe, you know, to be able to connect to the awe and the inspiration of what abounds. You know, there's so much imagination and creativity potential in this connection. And I feel like the tension there will actually even help it work. It's almost like if it was a nice harmonious link between the two, then you might just kind of float off with it and never come back. But because there is that tension there, it's the push-pull between the two things will actually get you to try to work with it, to try to align it. So there may be a creative project that you've had on the back burner and have been really dreaming about doing. And now a space opens up in another part of your life that will link that in and bring that in. But yeah, I'm not so excited about it as you girls, but I can see the benefits of going where it will lead. But I love that blind faith you're talking about, Cass, and I feel like it's a nice counterbalance with all the Capricorn. It's like the Capricorn will stop it being totally blind and will kind of anchor us down, but will keep us looking for hope, looking for optimism, you know, because Capricorn is such a somber, focused energy that it can lose hope. So it's like this is that boon that will help us stay hopeful and optimistic about the future throughout the year. Because this is just the first of 3 transits, isn't it? There's another one in June, another one in September. So yeah, it's like this is like the first of 3 gifts for us to unwrap.
Yeah, it's interesting how, you know, this does provide an amazing counterbalance to the cold, harsh realities of the Capricorn stuff. And it was only yesterday, I just will hold this up in case anybody's interested and doesn't have a copy.
Love that book.
Aspects in Astrology by Sue Tompkins. And I was just sort of like had a little bit of a writer's block on a project that I was working on because it was an aspect of my own, and I was, you know, trying to look at myself. Doctors make the worst patients sometimes, right? And you know, this particular line, it also really encapsulates, I think, the whole Jupiter Neptune, the Jupiter Saturn paradigm that we've got going on. And it says, you know, when things in life go wrong and or become harsh, as they always do, it's about standing back and observing the situation from a philosophical perspective. And it's about finding meaning and purpose where others only find grim reality. And the grim reality is there. That's not something we can deny as a sort of an ongoing theme. But we do have this other portion with the Jupiter-Neptune piece that, you know, how can we bring something that is maybe spiritual or meaningful, or what is the reason we're having to do this rather than being so it is what it is, you know, what is the reason behind why? And I think when we can explore those questions or explore those meanings, it can give us that, you know, sense of faith or hope, or blind faith if you want to take the more pragmatic approach about it, and just gives us that little bit of buoyancy or optimism to help us work through, you know, the reality that is.
Yeah.
Totally. Sorry, go, Leash. We're both also excited.
I was just going to say that the simple thing often is to look at the glyphs. And for those of you that know them in your head, you know, Jupiter is the curve of spirit above the cross of matter. And Saturn's the opposite. It's the cross of matter above the curve of spirit. And it's almost like, you know, we're able to bring in the spirit to ground it so that we can then reconnect and go high again. But do it in a way that's wise, mature, and, you know, not going to float off into the ether without any groundedness to it. Sorry, Kel, you go.
No, that's perfect, because I was basically picking up on the same thing, that this is one of the cosmic contradictions of 2019 is that we have the planet of optimism, Jupiter, really strongly placed, and we have the planet of pessimism, Saturn, really strongly placed. So it's one of those years where we're kind of caught between hope and despair, and I think all of us are going to feel like we swing a little bit between feeling really optimistic and positive about the future, and then having these periods where maybe we're a little bit more fearful, or we're like really worried, or things are weighing on us. And I think the good thing is to understand we've got equal parts activated, like both parts in equal measure, if you like. And if you're in one place on one day, give it 48 hours and you could be in the complete opposite place. Yeah. So I think this is a really important week for setting up some of those themes for the year. Because as you said, Leash, we're having that, or as we talked about, that first Jupiter-Neptune square. And that is one of our signature aspects for 2019.
Yep, like all the major players are coming out to play. I feel like January is like it's like a trailer for the beginning of the movie.
100%.
And all the major players are in it. And you're not quite sure how it's going to pan out. You've got to go and see the whole movie to understand, but you get the themes. They're
totally.
there.
Totally.
You know if it's going to be a drama or a comedy or both. It kind of seems like.
Totally. Cass?
So, anything else, gals?
Well, I just do. I've got 2 announcements. Do you guys have any announcements or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we should probably promo. This isn't one of my 2, but I was like, we have our Water Trio event coming up in Sydney, live Water Trio in person, January 30th. We should probably include the link for tickets in the session notes. I think we'll do that for this episode. So if you guys can get to Sydney or are in Sydney, we're having a live in person, and there'll be Q&A. I feel like we'll do secret health and weight loss by the stars, aka the moon, and we'll certainly be talking about these highs and lows of 2019. I wanted to give a quick shout out to this magazine, the WellBeing Astrology Guide, which I edit and write for, and I think Cassandra has an article in this year as well. That's on newsstands if you're in Australia, and if you're online or outside Australia or you want an e-version, just Google Zinio WellBeing 2019 and it should come up. And Cass has got her copy there. And I think, so this is the week starting January 7th. So I'm actually teaching in Seattle this weekend. I'm giving a Friday night lecture on the 11th and then an all-day workshop on astrology and relationships. And that's through the Washington State Astrology Association. So you can find out more information either on my website or theirs. Over to you, gals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have my horoscope ebook is now available online on my website, cassandratindall.com. So it's just a down.
We'll put all links for this in the show notes, I think, too, just to make it easy.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sure.
Cass. Yeah.
So, no, it's all good. It's instant download. It's got all the 12 signs in there, so you can read whoever you like is a part of that. So really excited to have launched that. It's going really well. So yeah, that's available on the website. Apart from that, I will be, that's probably the most immediate thing right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And I am working on my new website, so I am very quiet in the background.
Yay!
But I'll have some exciting things to launch in February.
Excellent.
All right, gals. Well, thanks for another great episode. And first one of 2019. Exciting.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Have
Bye,
a great
everyone.
week, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.